Yo, what's up, guys? We're live again. We're doing another breakdown. We're going to be doing a UFC 303 betting breakdown, kind of give a little bit of a recap of the last video we did, which was for UFC Saudi Arabia. So, what's up, Fitzman? You have a good weekend?
Yeah, man. I thought Saudi Arabia, delivered. Whitaker, just standout performance. I mean, that's a pretty legendary performance for him to get that knockout like there in the first round. And I mean, his whole aura was crazy. I mean, he was really hyped up like when Buffer was announcing him, and the chest pound is always intense, but he was fired up, and I love to see it. Rob's one of my all-time favorite fighters, so this was a historic event, their first trip to Saudi Arabia, and I thought it went pretty well. It was a pretty funny night. I thought that a few people have said it, but the commentary really between Bisping and DC was pretty funny all night. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, it was definitely a decent card, a lot of decisions, but yeah, let's talk about that card a little bit. First fight of the night. Honestly, I'll let you talk about this one first because I didn't get to watch this fight. Didn't see it. I heard a lot of people because I had a bet on Long Zhao. People were telling me that they thought he won, but yeah, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, it was a super close fight. There was a lot in the clinch. Chang Ho Lee was landing a lot of knees to the clinch. He was pretty much spamming that. Long Zhao had a pretty solid first round. I thought he won. He got the better actually of some grappling exchanges early on, but it was real close, man. It was hard for me to tell. I think I probably would have had it to Ho Lee, to be honest. I thought he did a little more damage in round 2 and 3, but it was really close. Kind of how I mean, I thought it would be a lot more entertaining. Like it was a lot more grapple heavy, just them clinching each other up than I thought it would be. But I knew the fight would go to decision. That was I thought one of the best bets. It was a little heavy. It was at minus 230, but neither of these guys were either close to getting a finish, so I didn't mind laying that line. But yeah, it was decent. I think both these guys are right, but I don't think either one of them is going to be a top prospect.
Yeah, so
Relatively high floor, but low ceiling.
you don't think so you think these guys are UFC level? Would you give Long Zhao another UFC fight or?
Yeah, I mean, I think he deserves at least one more. This was a really close fight, and he's still really young, so he can definitely develop. And I thought it was a decent performance, a decent fight. He didn't completely drop the ball.
All right, yeah. Next fight, Magomed Gatchiasulov versus Brenton Ribeiro. Had a bad bet on this fight. I bet on Gatchiasulov to win inside the distance, and really was never that close. Honestly, Ribeiro got closer to finishing, but yeah, Gatchiasulov pretty much dominated after the first round. Just laid on him though. Really, he wasn't as dominant on top as I thought. So yeah, I don't know. I still think Gatchiasulov's a good fighter, but it does seem like maybe he's going to be something that goes to a lot of decisions. He doesn't really have a big killer instinct. And Ribeiro, I mean, he's dangerous, like we said before, but he showed those holes, and just looked bad off his back, had nothing, and pretty much got dominated. So, yeah, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it. Magomed, he's a good technical fighter. He has good technique. Good frame. But just not. It was a really heavy line. The fight was a lot closer than the line. Indicated that it would be. I thought Romero might have had it, to be honest, when they were reading the scorecards. But Gadziev took over as the fight went on. Outside of that first round where Ribeiro had success. But yeah, I think he's decent. And Ribeiro, I don't think he'll really stick. I think he'll maybe get one win in the UFC, 2 wins against some of the bottom feeders. But anyone else, I would fade him against. And Gadziev, I really don't know how high his ceiling is. If he's a top 15 level fighter, I think eventually we'll fade him to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's good at skills for 205. So, but yeah, next fight, I mean, was an all right fight. Muin Gafurov versus Kyung Ho Kang. I feel like Gafurov just did a little bit more in the fight. It was competitive, but kind of what I thought. Kang's getting a little bit older, and he just couldn't keep up with that output. Gafurov, I still don't think is anything special though. Honestly, I feel like he is all right, but he's kind of just someone that pushes the pace, and if you can deal with that, then you're gonna beat him type thing. So I don't think he's too technical or anything. But yeah, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I had Gafarov by decision, and I was happy with that. Happy with how the fight played out. A little closer than I actually thought it would be. Gafarov finally gets a win in the UFC. He had a tough run before this. Fighting some killers. And like you said, Kang. If he was in his prime, Kang probably wins this fight. To be honest, but he's just a little past that at this point in his career.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like if that was King like 3 years ago, he would have won that fight because you could tell like he was the better fighter, like from a skill perspective wise. It was just like Gavrov was the better wrestler and did more in the fight. But this next fight, I feel like kind of got a little lucky with the bet on this one with Hinat Fakhridov versus Nick Dalby. Um, I'll let you go first on this one, and I want to know if people in the chat think who did you guys think won this fight? But yeah, what did you think about this fight, and who did you think actually deserved to get the win there? Because it was a split decision, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I ultimately was thinking Renat should have won it, but it was real close. Dalby made those last two rounds really competitive, and Dalby's just a dog, man. He's so tough to get out of there. I called the submission; it was never close. Bad call because Dalby's just a beast, man. He's so durable, and he's such a dog. He's just gonna push the pace on anyone, and I'm a fan of Renat. I know Fakhretdinov is a wrestler and will look to control you, but he also, is not afraid to throw heat on the feet, and get in a firefight. I think he's a pretty entertaining style. Um, and yeah, I think he's, against Neil Magny. I think that's a good call out because he can definitely get that win. And I think that's a fight where he'll look to get a finish, hopefully. But, I don't think Dalby's momentum should really be stopped too much after this fight, just because of how good of an opponent Renat is and how close the fight was. But ultimately, I would have had it 29-28 Renat. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, like when they're going to the scorecards, I thought Dalby was gonna win. But yeah, I'm happy that they obviously gave the split to Renat. I definitely think second and third round, Dalby did more damage, and Renat had a lot of control in the third. But yeah, I kind of thought Dalby won, but I get what you're saying. Like Dalby lost by a split, his momentum should be halted, but I definitely think that he's gonna probably have to win like 3 or 4 more in a row to get to this type of position again, because he's older and everything like that. So this was a big loss, I feel like, for Dalby for sure. And I mean, I definitely still think he's really good, but honestly, I thought his wrestling was a little better than it actually is, I guess, because he wasn't as dominating in this fight with the wrestling as I thought he was gonna be, or able to really control as good as I thought either. So I feel like maybe if he not takes a couple steps up, he might take a loss soon. But yeah, he had another decent performance there. And like you said, he's fun to watch because he does hit hard on the feet and throw like hard shots. But yeah, like what do you think if he actually gets in there with someone like in the top 10 or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's right on that top 15 level, but I don't think he'll, break into that top 10. A guy like JDM, I think will destroy him, even someone like Ian Gary. But like him fighting like those top 15 guys, like a Jeff Neal, could be a toss-up fight if he's able to get that to the ground. And other guys right hovering around there. But against the elite, welterweight's killers, man. So I don't think he's on that level at all.
Yeah, for sure. I think we'll probably see him take a lawsuit, but I guess it depends who they give him because they give him like even if they gave him Ian Gary, like you're saying, I think he'd have a decent chance to win that just because he could wrestle him. But yeah, next fight, Felipe Lima versus Muhammad Naimov. Yeah, man, this was a great fight. It looked like Naimov was on his way to getting the job done. I felt like he lost the first, but then it looked like he won the second, and Lima was getting a little bit tired, but Lima came out hard in that third round, got the finish early in the round, and I think if he wasn't maybe able to get that finish early in the round, Naimov probably would have kept the momentum rolling and got that decision. But Lima, went in there and got the job done, man. And a lot of people were picking him this week. He was kind of a underdog that a lot of people liked, and he actually even became the favorite, I think. So he delivered there, and that was a big win because now he's going to go back to 35, and we'll see what he could do there. But yeah, what did you think about Lima? Were you impressed with that performance?
Yeah, of course. And I had a bet on Naimov. It hurt. Kind of stupid because I knew Lima. I didn't know too much about him, but I just thought coming up in weight against a proven guy at Naimov. So this is a really Naimov has a win over Nathaniel Wood. This is a really impressive win for Lima, up a weight class, man, and he's someone we all gotta look out for. I think he's gonna do a lot of damage in this bantamweight division, which is already stacked. So this is just another really talented fighter, and they're added to that crop. But yeah, I mean, he came into that third round like a bat out of hell, man. He I think needed to get the finish, where he might have been on the wrong end of the decision, and he went out there and rocked him on the feet, just flew at him, and then choked him out.
Yeah, I mean for Naimov, what do you think about him too? Because you obviously bet on him, you liked him as a fighter. You think this is a big loss for him, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think he dropped the ball here, man. I think he showed a little quit in him, and I don't think he's as good as I might have thought he was. I mean, I still think he's decent and can definitely beat some guys in the division, but I don't think he's top 15 caliber.
Yeah, okay. And this next fight, I mean, this was another one where split decision.
Close
A lot of
fight,
people
yeah.
thought could have went either way. What did you think about this one?
I mean, I thought Gordon won it, man. To be honest, I was on Nazareth, but I thought Gordon won the fight. I thought he won rounds 2 and 3. I thought this was like a
Yeah.
clear like Gordon decision. To be honest,
Yeah, I kind of thought Gordon won too. Like the second round, I can't remember which round did they, which round the judges gave? I'm not even sure, but
I mean, I would think it would have to be round 2 for Gordon. They gave him, but I'm not
yeah.
positive.
Well, that was about what I was about to say. Like the second round, Gordon, like that, I feel like there's no way Nasrat could have won. But the third, I still think Gordon won pretty clear. But
Me too.
it was still, it was closer, I guess. But Nasrat, I guess it's because Gordon's style is like so ugly. I think I don't know, like because Nasrat definitely was doing way better at range, and it's like all of Gordon's significant strikes are like on the inside. And I don't. Maybe the judges don't like that. I'm really not sure. I mean, because I feel like he's had multiple fights now. Like the Patty fight too, where he's just been on the wrong side of these decisions. So I don't know what he needs to do to kind of like change his style to get the judges to give him the nod in these fights. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good performance. I thought it was a great fight. I thought that was one of the best fights on the card, honestly, because it was competitive and both guys, fought really hard. I feel like Nasrat, he was really tired, but he still came out in that third round and he was kind of dominating like the first 2 minutes of the third. So I still like both these guys, but I feel like they're kind of like as high a level as they're gonna get, if you know what I'm saying. Like I don't think that they can really challenge like higher level guys in the weight class, but I guess they're just like gatekeeper level guys. I mean, what do you think? You think either of these guys like could beat a top 15 opponent?
No, I mean maybe Bobby Green, but I mean Nazareth already got fucked up by Bobby Green, and um, it sucks for Jared Gordon, man. I mean, like you said, this is another decision. I mean, this is I don't. This is not as bad as the Patty fight, but just as bad almost. But yeah, I think this fight was way more clear of decision, a bad decision than the Dalby fight. I thought this fight should have gone to Gordon more than that fight should have gone to Dalby. The Dalby fight was a lot closer in my opinion. I mean, Gordon was jabbing his face off in the third round, dude. Literally just jabbing his face off. But I don't know, I was on Nazareth, so I'm complaining a little too much for winning. But I like Nazareth, man. He kind of grew up in the UFC. He's still pretty young. I still think he can improve. Jared Gordon's gonna be a tough fight, gritty fighter for anyone. You know, maybe he needs to sit down on his punches a little bit more. I don't know. But I mean, I thought he looked decent. His takedown defense was good. Gordon didn't. I think he got him down for like 1 second. But yeah, I think Nazareth still could be, that borderline top 15 level, and Gordon's gonna be a tough out for anyone. He's a real tough fighter.
Yeah, for sure. And that was a good fight to close out the prelims. But starting off the main card, we had a really good finish. I mean, one of the best finishes of the year, I feel like, with Volkan Oezdemir against Johnny Walker. I mean, brutal follow-up shot after the knockdown, man. I mean, that was horrible. Like, Johnny Walker's taking a lot of heat, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's next for him. Honestly, if I was like advising him, I would say like maybe take like a year and a half off and like move up to heavyweight. I don't know, man, because like
Bro, this was bad. Like Volkan
yeah,
violated it. There was no need. It was crazy, and he went out so cold. And Johnny Walker, just something about the way he gets knocked out, like against Jamal Hill, was so bad. And this one was so bad. He just gets flatlined. And I mean, you call this fight to a T, man. Volkan knockout. I mean, I was on Volkan here. Said this would be a boring fight. It was the opposite. Volkan just starched him, man.
well, dude, I just like Johnny Walker. You could tell, like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say he shouldn't fight anymore, but you could see how timid he is. Like, I hate that shit. Like when fighters are doing that shit with like, you know what I'm talking about? Like with the lead hand, they're like pawing it out there, but they're not
Yeah.
doing shit with it. It's like they're like, it's like feigning a jab, right? They're like feigning the jab, but you could just punch him in the fucking face. Like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, and like, so Volkan was just fucking walking right through like everything. He was like just faking and doing nothing. Like, I'm like, dude, Johnny, like, you got to throw. Like, if he tried like throwing some strikes back, like he used to, being wild, that would have given him such a better chance to win, but like feigning moving backwards and doing like absolutely fucking nothing, like that was a horrible performance. And Volkan, he ran through him and got the knockout. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they give Volkan like a decent opponent next, and then we can bet on the other guy against Volkan, because I do think this is kind of like more of an indicator of where Johnny Walker is at, honestly, because I still like Volkan. He's still to me like first round or bust. It's like if he can't get it done in the first round, he definitely gets real tired, and he might be able to like beat like some lower level light heavyweights like over 3 rounds or something. But we even saw like Anthony Smith like come back and sub Volkan, and that was like when Volkan was more in his prime. So I think Volkan is what he is. But man, I mean that was definitely another highlight reel for him for sure.
Yeah, and real quick, while we're talking about light heavyweights, man, do you know anything that's going on with Nikita Krylov?
Nah,
Like, apparently he's just fallen off the face of the earth. He's maybe dead in the war. But
yeah,
no one's heard from him since last July. Apparently, he did like one Russian interview. I mean, I was on a deep dive today, dude, trying to find something, and it's crazy. He's just gone.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, is he still getting? I wonder if he's still getting tested, like by
Oh yeah, I
whoever.
guess we could track something like that.
Yeah,
I gotta do some real investigation to figure out what's going on.
Walker gets round trips. I, I, I mean, I guess, dude.
No,
Johnny
come
fucked him
on.
up the first time. Dude, that was awesome knockout by Johnny versus Khalil.
Yeah,
You remember that with the
in the
Muay Thai?
clinch, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he elbowed him like to sleep out cold, like it was sick, dude. But yeah, I don't know about today. I don't think it would go down the same way,
Me
But
neither.
that was when Johnny was like on his run where he won like 3 or 4 in a row with the knockouts and shit. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? Like I said, he should take some time off, go to
He's got to
heavyweight.
take some time off after
You
that
think
damage.
like
I mean, at heavyweight, yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I'm picturing him fighting Romanov, and that's just a hilarious fight to me. I don't
but
know why
like
though.
what do you think? Like
He
he's
could
gonna
definitely be good at heavyweight and beat up some bums. There's so many but I mean, the thing is, Johnny at heavyweight, like maybe has even worse of a chance of just getting slept every fight. You know what I mean?
well
He's
that's what I was
fighting,
gonna say.
yeah.
Like if I gave you like what would you line like if someone said like if you had to make a bet, like will Johnny Walker get another UFC win? Like what would you line that
Uh,
at? Like
I think
'cause
almost
I don't know.
minus 800.
No, fuck no, dude. You're crazy, bro. That high,
Of
really?
dude, they're not gonna cut him, man. They love Johnny
But
Walker
he's
is a
got
pretty
it, dude. That was a
and
whole. He's
there's
got
a
it
lot of
knocked out so
yeah,
bad
it's
twice in a
bad.
row, dude. Like,
Yeah. But there's a lot
I
of
would.
bums in the UFC.
I don't know.
Especially
They
at
would have to
heavyweight.
get
Like,
like a
come on, if
really
they give him
bad
Parker
fighter.
Porter or
Like, I would make it like minus 110, dude. Honestly, they
to
wouldn't give him. Why would they give him Parker Porter though? Like, they're not
get him
gonna
a
do that.
win.
But if they do that, I guess. But I'm more assuming they're gonna give him like, dude. Every fight they give him is hard as fuck. Like all
Yeah.
the like, I don't know. I mean, I guess if they give him like another old guy like Tiago or something, they could have like a feint off for 5 rounds. But Like that's the other thing I don't like about Johnny. He doesn't do any. Like I was saying, he doesn't throw any. He didn't throw any strikes in that fight, dude.
He
Like
just
he
got
was.
knocked out.
Well, he was just feigning. Like I'm like, dude, like
I think
throw
it's
something
Kavanaugh. I
hard.
really think it's Kavanaugh messed him up a little bit. He gets
Yeah,
that's
like it could be, dude. Honestly, because him being crazy is like definitely way smarter. But honestly, I think that Vulcan is just a bad matchup for him too. Anyways, just in general. But yeah, that's a good point. He has 2.5 million IG followers. Yeah, like he's a big, I guess. But at this point, it's like he's like kind of a meme. But I guess it is what it is. Like you got to be famous somehow. But yeah, man, this next fight, this was a pretty sick fight. I thought. I mean, Tricoli, he came out hard like the first 3 minutes of the fight, and that was about all he
and
had
then
in him.
did literally nothing. Like was
Yeah,
just
I mean,
standing there.
I was kind of like getting a little nervous because like the first minute he like rocked him like a couple times with that straight right or whatever, straight left, whichever strike he was throwing. And like, but that was it. Like he tried for a few takedowns and he never actually got a takedown, did he? I don't think so, right? Like he just attempted a bunch of them.
Well, I mean, without the fence grabs, he would have had about 3.
That's true. Yeah, I mean the fence guys are bad too, but I mean, yeah, Shara, he looked okay. I mean, I don't think he looked the greatest. I feel like he's a fun guy. Like you look at him, he has like that crazy look to him, and then a fun style. But I don't think he's necessarily like getting beat up echelon guys. Even,
He's like exactly like a Roman Capilov. I feel like that's like exactly where
but
he
I think
is.
I think he's not even as good as Roman though. Like I don't
Really?
think so.
I mean,
Yeah,
Kapilov's a beast. I mean, that's a good
yeah,
fighter. But I think if he fights Fluffy Hernandez, Fluffy will destroy Bullet. Sub him.
yeah. Well, it's like I think even I don't know. Like hopefully they give him like easy fights or like build up fights like that, and they probably will because Dana's saying you can't fight over here, which I don't even think that's true to be honest. But they probably would have
They
to like
let Nick Newell fight with one arm. I mean, how
yeah.
can they not let him fight?
Well, I
You
know
know?
like they let like
He-
Dre Miley fight and stuff like that. Like um so I don't know, and he has one eye, so
Yeah.
even though I think he's had some issues like getting commission in Bellator and
I mean,
shit.
I
So.
seen someone fight with no legs.
Yeah, I mean, but they're probably fighting like if they're doing that shit, they're probably fighting like where there's no commission, dude, like an Indian casino or some shit.
Yeah.
Which like UFC would never go. Like
No.
that Bellator used to do all that shit, like when they
In
had
Mohegan
like
Sun, yeah.
yeah, and like they would have like Bobby Lashley, like that wrestler
WWE
guy,
just all
and he would
roided
be
up,
like
yeah.
fucking yeah. You could never fight like if you look at his career, every fight he had was at Mohegan Sun, dude. It's
I
like
didn't
oh
even know.
shit.
That's
There's no
hilarious.
testing. It's like, but yeah, it's kind of funny. But yeah, Tricoli, I mean, I feel like he kind of shit the bed. I guess it's like they're definitely going to give him another fight because the guy fucking stepped up and took like 15 fights against everyone they gave him and then flew across the world. But horrible fight from him. I mean, you see him being able to do something in the UFC or like, I guess he'd have to fight someone really low level.
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed by Tricoli at all. I know this is a pretty tough fight, and it's just a little hard to judge because he's had a really crazy couple of weeks with everything going on. So it's a lot to ask for him to have a good performance
I
here. But
guess both
they're
guys,
they're gonna set him up. They're gonna set him up for a good fight. I think Dana even shouted him out, I believe. So
yeah.
they're gonna give him a layup in his next fight.
I guess both guys, like him and Ikram, both the guys that did that shit, they both got killed.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Kelvin versus Daniel Rodriguez is the next fight. I mean, this was a good fight, honestly. I felt like, maybe I don't know. I was watching the fight and I didn't have any money on it or anything, but I thought the first two rounds, like, I thought the second round Daniel Rodriguez won, which two of the judges didn't agree with me, and I thought it was kind of clear that he won that second round, like landing the bigger shots. Like Kelvin was coming forward, but I didn't think he landed some nice punches too. But I thought Rodriguez won that round, and I thought the first was pretty close. So I actually thought it was a closer fight, than the scorecards. I think it was 230-27s. But yeah, I feel like Kelvin definitely, probably edged the first and won the third. So I'm not mad at the decision, but yeah, man, I think I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, but I might have called it with him wanting to come in overweight so he could wrestle because he definitely did that. In third round, he won the fight, really just taking him down and controlling him. So it was a great fight. I mean, it was the type of fight that you put Kelvin on the card to have. Go in there, bang it out for a little bit, and then I guess in the third round he did make it boring, but it was good for the first 2 rounds. And Daniel Rodriguez, I guess he got a new 6 fight deal, and shout out to him. But I don't know. I feel like both these guys are definitely kind of washed. Kelvin went in there and got it done, but if they make him fight at 185 against a real 85er, that's decent. I just don't see that going well, and I don't know if they're going to let him fight at 170 again, because you saw Dana. It seemed like he was pretty pissed at the post fight press conference. So yeah, I mean Calvin, I'm thinking he's probably going to get a couple tough fights in a row. But yeah, I mean D Rod, yeah, like MMA Clip said, I was surprised D Rod got a raise in a new 6 fight deal. Yeah, honestly, I mean, just because they gave him 6 fights, though, it doesn't mean he's gonna have 6 fights. Like they could cut him whenever. I honestly, I mean, I doubt he'll have 6 more fights, but yeah, hopefully he gets a few more paydays. Honestly, I mean, he stepped up and went in there, but yeah, what did you think about this fight?
It was a good fight, like you said. I thought probably Rodriguez should have got one round, second round, 30. But I thought Kelvin ultimately won the fight. Cruised to decision, and the commentators were pretty brutal to him. It's still crazy to me that he couldn't even make 180. Like how could you even schedule him to book a fight at 170 again when he couldn't make 180? But
Yeah, I
apparently he
mean,
had a
unless he has
staph
like,
infection or something in his camp.
dude,
But
he has staff everywhere. Is this fool like never takes showers or something, dude? It's like, what the fuck, man? He's
Yep.
literally had staff like 10 times. I remember even Connor like called him out. He's like, fucking wash yourself, you dirty bitch, or something. I don't know what he said, but yeah, he's had staff so many times, dude. It's like not an excuse at this point, but I don't know. I mean,
Props to D-Rod for being a savage and taking the fight, despite the circumstances, and maybe give Kelvin Ikram. That's a decent fight, I think.
yeah, I mean that's a winnable fight, honestly. I mean, I think they're gonna give him a hard ass fight, dude. Like, cause like Ikram, like he's like they'll give him a fight that they think he's definitely gonna lose. I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're gonna give him like some big ass wrestler, 85-pound wrestler, or some shit. Like,
Pyfer, maybe Pyfer wins. You give him Pyfer.
yeah, maybe. I mean, Pyfer though, like if they did 5 rounds, Calvin would be sneaky. I'd probably bet on him if it was 5 round fight, that fight. But yeah, like he actually has done decent at 185 though, I guess. Like, or not really, right? I'm trying to think. Like versus Hermanson, he got subbed super quick, right? I'm pretty sure. Like, didn't he get subbed in like 30 seconds or something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 1 minute. Yeah,
So
and I
he
think
lost
that
5 out of 6.
yeah, and then I think he fought someone else at 185 too, but Chris Weidman, yeah. So both the times he fought at 85, he got subbed.
No, these are all at
Or yeah.
85
Never mind.
from Tim Kennedy on.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know why I'm saying that. So was this fight the first time he went to 70 in a while?
No, he fought Brady at 70 right before this.
Yeah, I'm tripping right now. I don't know. But yeah, like, yeah, I don't know who they
I
would
mean,
really
he didn't get to 70 this fight.
I mean, this fight was this was a middleweight fight.
Bisping made me laugh really hard. He said they were talking about how he didn't want it at 80, and Bisping said Kelvin asked for the fight at 205. I lost it.
Yeah,
and then I just remember that Kelvin knocked Bisping out cold in China.
Yeah, but that was a cool fight from Bisping. Took that fight like 2 weeks
it was
after
crazy.
He fought,
War.
TSP. But yeah, co-main event, man. This was honestly, like, this was a dull fight. Like, let's be honest, I mean, Volkov basically he wasn't running away, but he was just kind of piecing him apart at range, did what he had to do, and Pavlovich looked like shit to me. I mean, the guy like barely, I don't even know if he landed like 50 punches clean in not even close, I don't think, but he was missing a lot, hitting the guard, and he had a few like decent shots that he got in there, but couldn't really close that distance or get anything going. And Volkov just kind of picked him apart. Like you saw Sergey's face after the fight, he was pretty busted up. His leg was busted up. So Volkov kind of beat him down. And that's probably interesting. I feel like they probably knew like going into the fight, honestly, I feel like Volkov knew, like, I've trained with this dude a lot. You know, he's trained with me. And he probably saw him like getting all these opportunities. Like, dude, I know I could beat the shit out of this guy. So then when they got the fight, like, you know, Sergey was saying that Alex signed first and all that stuff, and he probably did. He probably was like, "Damn, you know, I could pick up this win. Like, I know I can get the win, man." So went in there, and Sergey, you know, it seemed like he was emotional the whole time. You know, even at the weigh-in, and you could tell after the fight too. Like he was
Super
shoving
emotional.
Volkov and all that. So I don't know. Maybe they had something going on where it was like a big brother, little brother thing going. But yeah, Volkov got the job done, man. This guy's a beast. I mean, the guy's eventually gonna have to get some credit, you know, like he gets shit on a lot, but yeah, I mean, I think he's probably still one fight away from the title shot. I don't think he's gonna get it next just because everything going on with heavyweight. But I don't know. I don't know what's next for Volkov, but definitely probably a main event and a huge fight. So yeah, man. I mean, what did you think about both these guys, and like, what do you think about them going forward?
Yeah, really disappointing performance from Pavlovich. I mean, he'll beat up on most guys at heavyweight, but upper echelon, you know, he's just too much of a one-trick pony. And in this fight, he didn't even let his hands go, man, at all. Volkov, really good game plan, was mixing it up, dominated. Literally was getting his hair combed in between rounds,
Yeah,
which
that
is
was awesome, dude.
it was
Did you see what he
crazy.
said post fight? He was like, "Yeah, I had my hair longer, so I hired a stylist to be in my corner." I don't know if that's true, but that's what he was saying.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you gotta. I mean, I'm trying to think what makes sense, and really the only thing I can think of is Volkov versus Cyril Gane in Paris. I guess you do that fight, right? Um,
Well, they
because
already fought each other though.
yeah, I know it's a rematch, and it
Yeah.
wasn't even a good first fight. But I mean, there's it. I mean, unless you give him like Johnson Almeida, but I don't know that that makes too much sense, and I don't know if you can give him it's hard for me to say, you know, what you even do with him here unless he just wants to sit and wait for a title shot. But who knows when that will be at heavyweight.
Well, yeah, I don't know, like, cause I doubt though Tom is gonna fight Curtis. Like, I guess if Curtis win, I don't know. Because if either of them win, I guess they could do that fight if they're not gonna do the John Jones fight. But I don't know what they're doing with that, you know.
Yeah, the timeline on that, like Volkov is going to be out like a year at minimum at that if he's waiting. So you know, I think
Well, when's that fight for Blades versus Tom? Do you know?
August
So
or July.
it's not that far, you know. Like
But
if
then I
it,
mean they're gonna wait for John's. We don't know
yeah,
when
that's what
John's.
I'm saying.
We're
Yeah, I don't know
thinking
if they're
John's gonna
waiting
fight in
for it.
November, and you think Aspinall, I mean, is gonna defend the interim belt the second
Well,
time
it could just be like John fights Stipe and
and then
retires,
retires.
and
Yeah,
it's like Volkov could fight Tom again, you know, potentially, but I don't know how it's gonna work out,
you
you know.
think John Jones will do that though? I think he probably
Nah, I
he's
don't think
too
he'll
big of an
fight.
ego, dude. He's gonna want to sit on the belt, and I don't know.
If he fought again, he wouldn't fight like Tom though.
You don't think?
Unless Tom like no, I don't think so. He'd fight someone that's like actually has a like he'd fight another like super legend type guy, you know, like I don't know, like fight Izzy or fight some shit like that. Like if Izzy gets the belt again or something, or
Fight Pereira.
yeah, like he would do because it's just a. It's not even like people think they're saying like he's ducking Tom, but it's more just like you know the opera. Like there's no reason to fight someone that could beat you potentially like for no reward. You know, it's like he was doing that at light heavyweight, but because if he beat Tom, like who would care? Like that's besides like hardcore fans that already like say John Jones is the best ever.
I mean, this would, you know, be a huge win. I know he already did it with Cyril, but for him to go out there and, I mean, this will be like 4 generations of MMA fighters he's beaten. He beat the
Yeah,
Leota generation. He beat all his generation. He beat the generation after that with Dominic Reyes. This is like the next generation. You know, his
right.
longevity
Yeah,
is unmatched.
but I'm saying like if he beat Pereira, don't you think people would view that as like
Oh,
a
of
way
course,
bigger
of
win?
course, of course.
Or like it even Izzy, like, and they're not even not as good of a win. Like, but I'm saying that people would view it as like a better win, like on
Yeah.
paper. I don't know, unless Tom like becomes like wins like 15 fights in a row or something like that. Because like he has no title defenses, dude. Like you have
Yeah,
to
but I mean,
kind
if
of
he
think about
smashes Curtis Blades, I mean, that'll be a pretty crazy win.
Curtis.
You know,
Yeah, it would.
he's
Yeah.
an I don't know. Aspinall's a beast. Like I love Aspinall, and I think
No,
there's
no,
a
don't get
reason
me wrong too. Like
John
I
don't want
like
to
Tom
fight him.
too.
You know.
Tom's a beast. Like I'm not saying it like to disparage his skills. I'm just saying like he doesn't have the resume, dude. Like you know what I'm saying?
But I
Like
mean, look what Tom did to someone like Volkov, dude. Look what Tom did to literally both these
no, I know.
guys.
I'm not like I think
Yeah.
I still would think John would win. Honestly, I really do. But uh I'm not saying like it's like he's not deserved, but like I said, like if you look at Izzy or like Pereira's a two division champ, you know,
Yeah.
Izzy has like
Pereira, yeah, both of them.
yeah.
It's not even
Izzy
a
has like
conversation.
eight
I
or nine
completely
title
agree.
defenses and all that shit. Like
Yeah.
he's gonna have to like they're like Stipe's like on his level, you know, he's like considered
Yeah.
the best of all time. But Tom isn't really like I don't know. To me he's not
He's
on that
still
level.
young in the game. He has
Yeah,
a
exactly. Yeah.
chance.
So it's like if John wants to do that, he could, but I don't know. Yeah, nice call there on Volkov, bros. Yeah, bro. You had Volkov too. I don't even remember.
No, I had
No, I was
Pavlovich.
getting in that argument with him.
Yeah.
And betting mastermind is in shambles. Yeah,
He
I don't know
lost
where
his
he's at.
channel.
Dude, he was messaging me. He's like, dude, I thought Sergey won that 29-28. I was like, dude, you're tripping, dude. There's no way. Like he
I was
must have just
shocked
fucked
one
up.
judge even gave him a third of the third round, dude. I didn't
He
think
said
any of the rounds were close.
Jones will fight his wife for the belt. Yeah, dude. I think he just beat his wife for the courtroom or some shit. Like I saw he tweeted out like he got half custody or some shit. And said Guru looking like Malcolm X. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I was going for Martin Luther King, but fuck. But nah, Robert Whitaker versus Ikram Aliskerov in the main event. Man, I mean, I think you were kind of thinking Aliskerov maybe, or maybe I can't remember who it was. It was you or
I was all over. I had Whitaker knockout.
yeah, it was Justin. I was
Justin.
saying, yeah, Ikram, yeah. So, but honestly, I mean, the fight didn't really even get started. You know, Whitaker just kind of blitzed him, hurt him, and then landed that nasty uppercut in the end of the fight. So, man, another win for Whitaker. Where this one, I mean, I think it's a better win on paper than it really is. You know, because the circumstances for Ikram were really bad, and Whitaker was tuned up. Man, he was getting ready to fight someone that was like one of the best fighters in that weight class, and Ikram was getting an easy fight. Like he was gonna fight Tricoli, and then turn around and had to fight, you know, one of the best guys in the world, you know. So I feel like could age into a better win, and it's a good win. Obviously, like quick finish. This is his first finish since 2017, so first finish in a long time, and it was a
Wow.
pretty emphatic one too. So yeah, man. I mean, I think Whitaker. He's still gonna have to fight another fight though, regardless. Like he's not gonna get a title shot next, so I'm not sure. I don't think Strickland is gonna fight Whitaker unless they kind of like say there's 0% chance you're gonna get a title shot. So I don't really know who Whitaker is gonna fight next, but I think he'll really honestly fight whoever if they just give him a good payday. It seemed like he was maybe interested in fighting in Australia, so maybe they'll end up doing that. But yeah, man, I mean,
I
you
would
would
love to
definitely,
see the Sean fight, man. I would love that fight. I mean,
yeah,
that's such a sick fight, man. And I don't know who would win it. Strickland, come on, dude. What you're really gonna sit out and not give the fans what they want? Like that would be such a and then it puts you on the same timeline to fight. You put Izzy and Dricus as the main event, and then Sean and Whitaker as a 5-round co-main event, and that's an insane stacked card where the co-main event gets to fight, stay in the octagon and face off with the winner. But whatever, Strickland, I guess if he wants to, sit out, he's deserved it. Whatever. Whitaker will literally fight whoever, like you said. He'll fight literally anyone, dude. Imavov in Paris, exactly. And Whitaker don't care about going over into enemy territory. And him versus Imavov is a pretty good fight, but 5 rounds, Whitaker will pick him apart, destroy him, I think.
yeah. Man, I mean, for Ikram though, I don't think it's a horrible loss, but I think he definitely needs to like kind of. I don't know who you'd give him next. Like, I guess like an easy fight next. I don't know because it's like I wouldn't throw him another hard fight because you could maybe like root him as a prospect, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he took the risk and he went out there though, and
He
man,
handled the loss really good though. He I seen some videos of him after the fight, you know, real humble, real. So I like to see that. He seems like a pretty good dude.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, honestly, I mean, hopefully they can get that Whitaker versus Sean fight. That would be a cool fight, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's honestly gonna happen, to be honest. But yeah, let's move on to this UFC 303 card and let's start breaking down this card a little bit. Talk about some of the fights that we got going on here. And yeah, man, I mean, are you excited for this card, the whole switch up and everything like that? I mean, what do you think about it? It's like completely different card than what we were expecting, you know?
I mean the craziest thing ever is this the what originally was the co-main event. Never have I seen a fight go from not just two. It was Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree. Then it was Jamal Hill versus Carlos Olberg. Then it was Carlos Olberg versus Anthony Smith. So that's a completely different fight. Neither of the two fighters. And now it's Anthony Smith versus Roman Dolidze. So I mean that's insane, bro. Four fighters dropping out of one fight. I think it's a decent fight. I really don't know too much to make of it. You know, Dolidze going back up to 205. But overall, I think it's a really good card. Honestly, you have that one stinker on the main card, which I can't believe it's on the main card of International Fight Week. Like, oh man, it's a real bad decision the UFC. But I mean, guess it gives us a little bit of a break. But yeah, even the prelims, I think there's some decent fights, and I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, man. I mean, first fight of the night, I think it's a little bit of a tricky one, but
I agree completely.
yeah, like, but personally, I mean, I feel like if you're just looking at it on paper, I feel like Ricky Simone is way better. Like Oliveira, kind of a wild striker. He obviously has that crazy knockout ability, but I don't think he's like necessarily like a crazy good striker. I feel like he's hittable as well, and Ricky is decent, like at um, staying defensively sound and timing the takedowns. But it seems like whenever he fights strikers, he always struggles, man. Every time it's like he has a lot of losses to strikers. And if you look at his record, like almost all his wins, especially in the UFC, are against grapplers, man. So that's usually when he has the most success. So Oliveira, he's one of these guys where I think he's super dangerous, great cardio, and he's has a lot of belief in himself and confidence, which is a big thing. So I think he's a decent underdog, but I would pass. Like I would want to watch like the first round, kind of see what's going on. Like if Ricky's just completely steamrolling him, then I'd probably not kind of just leave the fight. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what I'm thinking pre-flop. Like I'm not sure if I trust Ricky at over 2-1. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think, Oliveira's last fight, I mean, he had a really crazy finish, but I thought it was a pretty close fight going up into that third round. I thought he might have even been losing, had to get the finish. And Ricky Simone, really has not looked great in his last couple of fights, but, they're pretty tough fights, especially the Song Yadong fight's a really, really hard fight. And Mero Bautista is a good opponent as well, but, I'm gonna be on Ricky Simone here. I think he'll grind out a decision, but it definitely could be a spot where he gets slept.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's possible for sure. Like I think that's Oliveira's, only path to victory. It's like plus 300. So, that's not the worst bet in the world, I don't think. I mean, we've seen Ricky Simone get knocked out a couple times before. I think maybe only once he's gotten finished with strikes, but I know for sure he's had another fight where he kind of like got hurt really bad and then choked out. But Uriah got him. So yeah, man, that could be a possibility. But yeah, maybe go with Oliveira by KO, Simone by decision, and see if you can cash out some money there. But yeah, this next fight, big favorite here with Ray Saruya. He's taking on Carlos Hernandez. And I actually like Carlos Hernandez as a prospect, man, but it seems like the UFC um, was kind of slowing him down the river a little bit. They're giving him these real hard fights, man, like uh, grapplers that are bad matchups for him. So I'm not sure. I don't know if he has bad management or what it is, but they're not giving him any favors. And now they're giving him Ray Saruya here. So young grappler, looked real good on Road to UFC, and definitely I think this is a good fight because it's a small step up, and he's probably gonna be able to go in there and get the submission. But I still think he needs to prove a little bit. You know, we saw in that fight with Mark Klomako where he had some times where he was struggling. So I feel like this fight, you know, it's a good matchup for him. He's probably going to get the win by dominant decision or submission. But yeah, I want to see, you know, how he progresses. And for Hernandez, I mean, man, I mean, it's just a hard fight. I feel like he has to keep it standing, obviously, but his takedown defense is decent. It's just I feel like he's not the most physical guy, and he doesn't have knockout power, so it's hard for him to really like keep guys off of him, you know. But yeah, are you thinking Hernandez has a chance here, or are you going to Surya?
Definitely a chance. I think the line's a little high. I'll end up, I don't think I'll pull the trigger. I'll probably, be on Suro by decision. But I really haven't, seen too much of Ray. I need to look more into him. But I do think it's a little bit of a high line unless, Ray is a really top prospect. But I'm not sure I make him out to be someone like a Tyra, when Tyra was coming into the UFC. And I think Carlos Hernandez is a decent fighter. He's beaten some decent guys and has really only taken losses to pretty solid opponents. So I think this is a decent matchup and closer than the line suggests, but I don't know if I'll be willing to pull the trigger on Hernandez as an underdog.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a set. They're trying to obviously set up Surya for the win, and if you watch his fights, man, the guy's like real creative. He's fun to watch. So, um, yeah, it should be a good one there. But this next fight, a horrible fight right here on Andre Arlovsky versus Martin Buday. Arlovsky's cashing those paychecks, man. I mean, this dude's probably gonna have $10 million plus, you know, made in his fight career by the time he retires. Which, man, not many fighters can say that. You know, he's probably in a real small club there, but 2-1 underdog at this point against Martin Buday. And man, I really don't know what to think about this fight. I mean, Martin Buday is kind of just a punching bag, and he's real slow. So I feel like Arlovsky has a chance to just point fight him and run away in this one. So honestly, I mean, 2-1 Arlovsky would be the way that I would go if I had to bet it. But I'm not going to be putting my money on Arlovsky. I mean, I feel like he's really showed, you know, he didn't show a lot of slippage for a long time. And then I think his last couple of fights, he's kind of really starting to show his age a little bit. So I just don't want to bet on him and then that be that performance where he really kind of dips down or gets killed or something. But Buday to me is like real low level. He's a big guy that doesn't have big knockout power, kind of just pressures forward and wants to clinch you and beat you up in the clinch. And he's probably just going to clinch Arlovsky for 3 rounds. So it's more than likely what's going to happen, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if this fight was maybe even just 2 years ago, I think I would definitely be all over Arlovsky. But he's really, I think, shown a decline finally. Just insane longevity for him to still be fighting at heavyweight, all those fights. But I think he's done at this point. And Buday is terrible, though. I mean, he's a real terrible fighter. He's terrible to watch, terrible to look at. No volume, just leans on you. So, I mean, if he can get a takedown, I think he can get Arlovsky out of there with ground and pound. But on the feet, I mean, even at this point in their career, I'd probably favor Arlovsky to pick him apart with the jab and the movement.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't know. I think it's a dog or pass, but the line's coming down too. Like I think Arlovsky opened as a bigger underdog, but he was like over 3-1. Like when I'm pretty sure I could be wrong, but I think when I saw him like on Bet Online like yesterday, it was like plus 350. But obviously, there's been a lot of money that came in on Arlovsky now. If maybe I'm wrong on that, but yeah, next fight, Michelle Waterson versus Jillian Robertson. Tricky fight here too. I mean, this is another fight that I don't really want anything to do with, honestly, because I feel like Michelle, she could be a hard matchup for Jillian. Like you don't really know where she's at. She took so much damage her last fight, and that's kind of what's throwing me off a little bit because like she's older, she had a lot of like cuts and things like that, and I feel like she could maybe open up again in this fight or just be real timid. You don't really know. And Jillian is younger, getting better, but I feel like it's like in the stand up, this is going to be a super boring fight, man. I mean, it's going to be like Carla Esparza versus Michelle. I feel like where it's like Michelle's trying to stay at kick range, feinting, not really doing much, and then Jillian doesn't have striking to close the distance like that, so she's going to be real hesitant, and you're going to see Waterson kind of just like kicking her at range, and maybe Jillian like closing the distance and doing something. But I don't know. I feel like if Jillian gets on top, obviously she has a chance to finish anybody, and she's probably going to be the one coming forward. So I don't know. I see this as a dogger pass, but I just don't have faith in Watterson like at this point in her career, like enough to bet on her. But I don't get why a lot of people are like super confident in Jillian. I mean, Michelle has good takedown defense. She controls the distance well, and I don't think Jillian is necessarily like that athletic. Her striking isn't very good, and I feel like if she can't get the takedown, it's going to be like a super close fight. So I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I laughed just because, I mean, you said I'm pretty confident in Jillian. I mean, at least I was. I just think her physicality, her grappling, she'll be able to get Watterson down. But, Watterson is tough to take down and does have good movement, being the big cage. So she'll be able to use that, distance to all her advantage. But I don't know. I think at this stage, Watterson's decline, Robertson's on the incline, looking good. Has a little win streak going. And I think she'll get a submission here. Watterson's been tapped a few times, more than a few. So I think Watterson gets finished here.
The thing is, though, Watterson, like in the UFC, like no one's really taken her down like that, like at all. Like I don't know. So she'd be like Jillian would be the first. Like even Carla, like she had no top control in the fight. Like I think Rose got her with that rear naked choke, but she head kicked her.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of trying to talk myself into a Michelle bet, but I don't think I'm gonna get there. I don't know. We'll see what the line ends up being, but yeah, I don't know. I just like why would you say Jillian is just gonna sub her if it goes to the ground?
I just think Jillian's a lot more physical than her. I think she has advantages on the ground. And I'm just high on Jillian Robertson. I always, I back her in more fights than not. I think her grappling's, really solid for the women's division, and I think she's someone who chases submission, chases finishes on the ground, especially as far as the women's side of things go. She kind of hunts for those rear naked chokes, and maybe she'll just control her. Maybe it'll be a close fight on the feet. I mean, definitely if it's on the feet, it'll be real close, a real terrible fight. But yeah, I like Robertson here.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of mad she beat up my girl Polly like that. Fight, dude. But either way, like, whatever, dude. Fucking. I don't know. I just think it's a
Which I
hard
think
fight.
is a good win. I think that's a solid win.
It is, but I don't know. That's a way easier fight than Michelle, though. Like honestly, but next fight, Peyton Talbot versus Giannis Gamuri. I mean, crazy line on this one. We have almost 2-1 favorite, or 2,000 minus 2,000 favorite with Peyton Talbot. I mean, I don't know. Like obviously, I think Talbot will get the win. Usually he starts slow and then gets a job, then later on. So maybe you could do like Talbot round 2. But Gamora, I can't even really remember. I saw he's like a kickboxer, right? He fought Gomes, so I have to watch his last fight. But the line obviously is like crazy. Like I don't know how you could justify that line on Talbot. Like Talbot already had a fight where he was like 2-1 favorite and he lost the first round. So betting the money line, I mean, I don't think there's any value in that, but I guess I kind of agree because I don't think he has a very big chance to lose though. So I mean, what do you think? What would you play this fight anyway?
I mean, it's tough, dude. I guess you just got to get the prop right how Talbot gets it done. Because minus 2,000 is insane, dude. Like you said, minus 1,700, really hard to bet that line. Even as a parlay piece, just adds. That's a higher line than like Bo Nickel. But Talbot's a stud, and against this opponent, I would have really liked to see a higher level opponent. To be honest, this is a big step down. I think. Fighting a nobody. I don't think this just does anything for Talbot. So, I would have liked to see a better opponent, but maybe submission from Talbot is a sneaky bet because he's wraps him up, and if Gamori can hang tough, maybe he's hard to put away with strikes. It's been not so many knockouts as we've talked about, but maybe a submission, you get some value on that one. Which let's see where it is here, if I can find it. But even inside the distance is what? Minus 515, dude.
Yeah,
That's
I
insane.
think it was plus 350. I think I saw it.
Yeah, plus 350. Yeah, so I mean that's decent, but I don't even know how likely that is at a submission. He'll probably get a knockout.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, this Gamora guy, I don't know too much about him either, to be honest. So, but next fight, let's talk about this one. I'll kick this one off. Charles Jourdain, he's taking on Gene Silva. And this is a close fight, man. I feel like this is a difficult fight to call. Obviously, the line is like that for a reason. Um, Two guys that go out there and kind of like to entertain and have flashy fights. So I don't really have a good read on this one. I mean, are you high on someone on this fight, or are you kind of the same as me here?
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Even though, like, I'm a big fan of Jourdain. I picked Jourdain in a lot of fights, and he's cost me sometimes. And I think this is a real tough matchup, dude. I was definitely, favoring Jourdain a lot, but I'm slightly almost like about to flip to Gene Silva. Um, it's just this is a tough one. I might just pass, but a close line like this, it's a little hard to pass. I want to be on one side or another, because you get good value either way. If you can pick the winner, but we'll see how it goes. I think Jourdain would be smart here to use the grappling a little bit, mix it up. I think he's a little bit more well-rounded, but Gene Silva is pretty dangerous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't. Gene Silva, his last fight when he was fighting Gomes, though, I'm pretty sure I picked Gomes to win that one. It didn't end up happening, though. But yeah, Jourdain is like a guy I can't really ever trust him. Even when he's in a fight, like I would never bet on him personally, but because I just feel like he's willing to go in there and take the loss, like just to have a fun fight. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
don't
that
like
would be a big mistake here.
Yeah, I don't like betting on guys like that. But honestly, this next fight, I mean, it's two guys that do that quite a bit. Cubs wanted and Andre Feely. Uh, Kind of contradicted myself though, because I do bet on Cub in quite a few fights, and I've actually had like a lot of success with it because he's always a big underdog in every fight he's in now, like pretty much because he's the way older guy, but I still feel like he's real competitive. In this one, I mean, I don't really understand the line on this fight either. I feel like it should be close to a pick 'em. Feely and Swanson, I feel like are both real damaged goods. It's like Feely, I don't think has a chin at all. Like he's definitely like super, super chinny. You see Nathaniel Wood, like a small 135 or like almost knocking him the fuck out. Like so
Yeah,
I think if Cub lands clean on him, he could put him to sleep. And like Cub is more durable, like to head strikes and stuff, but seems like his body's weak now. Like if you leg kick him a few times, you can hurt his legs. So more like maybe he's breaking down from damage, but I feel like he's still like more durable in terms of like taking headshots. But at the end of the day, man, I feel like this is a fight where it should be a closer line because I don't see Feely like taking him down or anything like that. This is a fight where it's kind of like a fun fight. Two California guys, they probably wanted to fight each other for
a while.
years. At
Yeah.
least like Feely, I don't know about Cub. Like Cub's always kind of been like, ahead of Feely a little bit. So I feel like maybe like Feely's the one that saw Cub and wanted to fight him. But yeah, so I don't think Feely's gonna want to like make it a boring fight where he just lays on him. So it's probably gonna be a stand-up war. And if Cub comes in good shape, which he always does, he's training with like that training lab where if you know about them, they got that guy, the doctor that TJ Dillashaw works with over there, and Juan Archuleta and fucking all these guys that never get tired. So Cub, you could tell like since he started working over there and he had like a little bit of a career renaissance. So they got him on some good medicines and he's been winning some fights recently, man. Like it's not like he's been flawless, but I definitely think people thought he was like dead in the water at some point, and then he like got some big wins, like the knockout over Pineda. He got the win over Dawadu. He got I think a couple other wins where he got the KO on Darren.
Crazy knock, yeah, like crazy knockout over
Yeah,
Darren
so
Elkins.
yeah, Cup's still viable. I feel like so. I don't know. I don't know why the line is so wide. Like Fili usually only beats like low level guys or guys that are like super inexperienced. So yeah, what do you think about this one?
I think it's a close one. I think Feely probably edges out a close fight, but like you said, should definitely be closer. I mean, I might end up on Cub. I'd rather be on Cub. Feely got smoked in his last fight. Wasn't too long ago. Just a few months ago, and took a lot of damage in that fight against EA. It's a pretty bad knockout, and Cub has power, man. Power they say is the last thing to go in the fighter. That's what you retain through the age the most. So Cub might be able to put it on Feely. Land something big, but I don't know. I think Fili probably edges out a close fight, just a little more active. Cub Swanson now 40 years old, but just an absolute legend. Fighting back in the WEC days and stuff.
Yeah, I think I don't know like how many him and Aldo might be like the only two guys from WEC still like in. I
Yeah.
guess Aldo's not even he's not even with the UFC anymore though. Technically, he doesn't have a contract either. So yeah, it might be Swanson only, but even that KO plus 500, I don't think is a bad bet to be honest. Like, because dude, that's has a better odds. I bet on him by KO against Akeem too though, and I got fucked in that. But I bet on him by KO versus Hakeem. But he rocked Hakeem too. But Hakeem's the same as Feely, dude, where he's like he's chinny as well. But this next fight, I'm not a like big fan of this fight. Honestly, Joe Pyfer versus Mark Andre. I feel like this is another one where the line's off though. I mean, I don't get how Pyfer's such a big favorite. It doesn't make much sense to me. I mean, he obviously is a good wrestler, big knockout power, but I feel like his Achilles heel is what Mark Andre Barrial's strength is, which is the cardio, pushing the pace. So if Pyfer gets tired at all, like in the first 6-7 minutes of the fight, he could end up, playing out bad for him. But skills wise, he's definitely better than Barrial, and that's why he's a decent sized favorite. But yeah, I would want to see the first round, in this fight. Maybe pre-flop bet Barrial a little bit. And see what happens. I mean, Joe Pyfer might run through him or just dominate with the wrestling, but it's a hard fight. I mean, Marc Andre Barriault has made guys that are pretty good, have difficult nights, and he has gotten fights where he's gotten wrestled like real easily. So I think that's what Pyfer's path to victory is, obviously. But if he can't do that for 15 minutes, like at a good pace, it could end up, playing out closer. So, yeah, what do you think about this line here?
Yeah, I think it's a little steep on Pyfer. Barrett's a real tough guy. He can make the fight close. But I think Pyfer is going to get the job done with the grappling, exactly like you said. Um, Probably just gets this decision. A lot of control time. I don't know if I think Pyfer has terrible cardio. He was able to go 5 rounds and look all right. As the fight went on, definitely got tired, slowed down a lot against Hermanson, but I think he'll be able to implement a game plan for 3 rounds where he can wrestle. But if he slows down, Barry super live and even in the first round, I think Barry has the ability to win and make it close. But ultimately, I'll be on Pyfer here.
Yeah. So you think like Pyfer, would you parlay him or would you not have that kind of like faith in him at that line? Because I don't know about.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be like a big parlay. I'll
Yeah.
probably play him to win by decision, and then he'll be in a couple parlay pieces, but nothing. Not one of my more confident picks on the card. Like
Yeah, man. And then like all these fights are super closely lined. These next fights we're gonna
yeah.
be talking about. So Ian Gary versus Michael Page. I know you were saying you're confident on Ian Gary. Are you still gonna be betting him? You're still confident in
Yeah,
Gary here?
definitely. I love the line. I like that it's this close. I mean, I think Gary's a lot better than Kevin Holland, and Michael Page is a beast. I was on Michael Page as the underdog in that fight. I just like the youth of Gary. I think he gets the job done here.
You think it? You think he's gonna try to wrestle here?
Definitely. Yeah.
Because that's what I think he's gonna do.
I
If they're
completely
just
agree.
doing
I
this,
think he's kind of been hinting it in his interviews too. If you watch, he's talking a lot about his fight IQ, his ability to game plan and stuff. And I think he's kind of got to against MVP.
yeah. Because I don't know. I was digging deep on this fight, man. I watched like a lot of Ian Gary's fights. I was trying to find any fight where he was fighting like some that had like that bladed stance like that was like fast in and out, and really couldn't find anybody that he fought like with that type of style. I guess he fought who was it? Jack Grant, who was like he was so much more plotty though. Like it's not really like very similar, but he was giving Ian Gary some issues like on the feet, and Gary was taking him down. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like maybe Ian's gonna try to duck under, get to the back, or get takedowns that way. Because his wrestling isn't good though. Like he's gonna have
Yeah.
to get takedowns like through MVP overextending or something. He's like gets his back in a clinch or something like that. But if this fight stays standing, I think it's gonna suck, dude. I think this fight's gonna be super boring. Like if it's a striking fight, because both these guys like to sit out at range, and like Ian Gary, I mean, this guy basically runs the whole fight. Like if you watch his fights, like it's not a bad thing, you know, but he's like jabbing on the back foot, and then he's throwing those 1-2s or 3-2s. He's always only throwing usually like until he has you hurt or like super tired. You only throw like 1-2 strike combinations, and he's trying to like kind of like dart in, dart out with the kicks as well. But that's going to be a hard style to implement with MVP, man. I mean, MVP is going to be much more dynamic, like way more weapons, way faster on the feet. I feel like, um, and even if it's like a slow paced point fight, I think MVP is going to be, you know, better at that. He's so good at closing the distance.
That's
That's going
his
to be better.
style, yeah.
Yeah. So Gary's going to have to wrestle here, man. I feel like, and you know, I don't think MVP, like, if you watch his last fight, he looked as fast as ever, dude. Like, so I don't know how the age could play a factor if Ian Gary can kind of like maybe rough it up. Maybe MVP will get tired, but I feel like MVP is still like super athletic, super fast, you know, even for his age. So I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards MVP on this one. I feel like Ian Gary doesn't have great top control either. Like, you'll see him get takedowns and guys just get right back up. So, MVP, man, I mean, he's had to fight way better
Way
wrestlers than
better. That's exactly
Ian
what I was
Gary.
thinking.
And, you know, he hasn't done good at getting up to his feet when he's gotten taken down, which that's where if like Ian Gary takes him down, maybe he'll be able to hold him down. But I feel like MVP has a lot of experience, man. And if he can't beat a guy that has this type of grappling level, he's not going to beat anybody like good in the UFC. So this is a tailor-made fight for him, man. Honestly, you have to think about it. Like, I guess for both guys, like it's a big win for for Ian Gary. If he wins, he has MVP on his ledger, and then he can get like a top 5 fight. But for MVP, man, I mean, they're giving him a guy that's surging prospect, like in the top 10, huge name. That's not going to more than likely. I guess we're saying he is going to try to take him down, but in all his fights, he usually strikes. You know, so
Yeah.
obviously they're trying to give him a good fight where he can maybe get the W here. Um, so I don't know. I'm leaning towards MVP personally, but this next fight, Mayra Bueno Silva versus Macy Chiasson. I mean, even money fight. So the fight I think you're talking about, the shitty fight on the main card. But yeah, what do you think about this one here?
I mean, I think I'm on Chasen. I think Chasen actually looked pretty good in her last fight, but I'm not a fan of either of these girls, dude. Um, you know, just I see someone. Yeah, Storley had trouble wrestling MVP, but Storley, you got to understand, has nowhere near the same striking threat, the knockout threat that Gary has. So MVP's got to be a lot more concerned about the striking, you know, and that leads to easier takedowns, you know, when you can set him up with the striking. But which is why I'm not trying to say Gary's a better wrestler than Storley. Obviously not. Come on. But yeah, this fight sucks, dude. Mayra Bueno Silva looked terrible in her title fight. You know, she had a decent fight before that against Holly Holm. But I think Chason, I don't know, she's looked a little bit better. But, you know, I'm not real too confident. This is going to be a close fight that probably plays out either way unless one of these girls gets a submission on the ground. But I've kind of liked how Chason's been looking. I think she'll get the better of the striking here.
Yeah, honestly, to me, it's like Macy. I feel like she's actually like pretty good. It's just she has like super low IQ, like fight IQ, man. It's like, yeah, she's super athletic. She's huge. She's physical. She has decent striking. She has power. She could wrestle. Um, but it's like she'll come in half her fights missing weight, out of shape, and she's like a quitter in there. Certain aspects, like I feel like she's not like the most mentally strong, you know, but she could easily go in there, I feel like, and implement that repel game plan, right? I mean, she has the size, she could push her against the cage and use cardio. She trains in fucking Denver. I mean, but it's like, is she gonna do that, or is she gonna like have a shitty striking fight on the outside, like where they're both like not doing much and it's super close, you know? So I kind of lean towards Chasen too. I just feel like she has more ways to win. She's bigger, has the cardio advantage, but Mayra obviously, you know, could pull a submission out. I mean, I feel like any fight that Mayra Buena's in, if the submission prop is at like a decent number, then it's definitely bettable. And we've seen, I think we've seen Macy submitted before. So Mayra Buena, she's like over 2-1 submission prop. I don't think that's a bad bet. But more than likely, I think Macy will probably win a decision here, but yeah, like you said, not the greatest fight there, but this next fight, I mean, man, I mean, this is a fight you're talking about. They tried to make fight with so many different people, but now it's Anthony Smith versus Roman Dolidze, and yeah, I don't really know what to think about this one. I guess I'm picking a lot of underdogs there right now. I don't know if I'll switch my picks, but picking Anthony Smith, dog or pass here. I feel like he's better, on the feet, um, by a pretty decent margin. I mean, Roman is athletic, but doesn't really set things up, and I feel like Anthony could kind of like keep him at distance. Um, at 205, though, I mean, maybe Roman will be a little bit faster, but I don't know. I think Anthony may have the better striking, and I don't know if Roman's gonna be able to take him down. I mean, maybe he will, but I don't necessarily think Roman is like a high level wrestler. Obviously, if they go to the ground, it'll be interesting. Both guys are good. Um, Roman to me doesn't have like a great top game, like that's the thing. Like usually when you think about his like submission game, it's off of his back, hitting heel hooks or leg locks and stuff like that. Like he's not someone that usually like takes someone down, is like smothering them with ground and pound and then like takes their back and chokes them out, So versus Anthony Smith, like a black belt credentialed grappler, like if he goes to his back, like maybe Anthony Smith could just control him and not get subbed and get the win that way too. So I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards Anthony, but to be honest, like this is probably a pass fight, man. I mean, neither guy had a camp. They didn't have like good circumstances, and who knows what they're gonna look like. But at least Anthony, like he was training with Jamal Hill during this camp. He said he was training pretty hard, like trying to get Jamal ready for Olberg. So he might be in slightly better shape than Roman. And obviously, Roman coming up to 205, I think that might indicate like he's not really in fight shape, But obviously, he's fought at 205 quite a few times. But yeah, no, I'm kind of leaning towards Anthony here.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, this is a tough one for me to call. Not too confident in Anthony Smith as a pick, but I think, like you said, I think this fight plays out on his feet, and I think Smith is just a little bit better of a striker, more activity. He'll be hitting the 1-2s, jabs, leg kicks. Yeah. So I mean, I don't think Kopylov is going to be able to get him out of there. With a knockout, I'd be pretty surprised, and I don't think he has the wrestling to take Anthony Smith down. I think if anything, Anthony Smith might mix in a few takedowns, which I know, Kopylov is a pretty dangerous grappler, has some nasty leg locks and loves to go for them, but I think Smith will be wise to all that. And I like Anthony Smith as a dog here, but not too confident.
Yeah, honestly, I was hoping the line was better, man. I mean, it's like almost even money. Like usually, like Anthony now in his fights, he's like a big underdog. Like, don't you think? I guess I don't know. It's hard to say, but wouldn't you say Petrino is like he's better than? I mean, Roman is better than Petrino.
I mean, Petrino was on a crazy win streak, and I mean, I guess just the circumstances you got to understand.
Because he was just
Litsi's
a huge
taking on this
underdog.
fight on 6 days notice, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's just because like wasn't Anthony like 3-1 against Petrino, right? Or
yeah,
plus
yep.
300. So it's like you're taking, I don't know, you're at plus 120. It's not like a great line. But yeah. This next fight, this is a great fight here. And I think the line is like slowly coming in, man. I mean, Diego, I think, was a little bit of a bigger favorite, and now it's almost even money line. And really interesting fight, man. I feel like could go either way, to be honest, because I think it's going to be a stand-up fight. And about Ortega's durability. He's going to come forward. And Diego, he has great dynamic striking, but a lot of his striking, is predicated on getting that finish, man. He's not necessarily like a minute winner, and neither is Ortega. So that's why it's going to be an interesting fight. I mean, both these guys are going to go in here. They're not going to have like too much of a game plan, I don't feel like. They're just going to throw down, and someone's probably going to get clipped. And we'll see who goes down. But I feel like Ortega does have the cardio edge and the experience edge. Obviously, Lopez is on a great run right now, getting these finishes. So I think the line's kind of where it should be. And I don't really think I'm going to get to a pre-fight bet here. I just feel like it's hard to be confident on Diego Lopez. He has gone in there and gotten these quick finishes, but if he can't get the finish, I mean, what's he going to look like down the stretch in a fight against someone as good as Ortega? So I feel like it could kind of be a trap spot. Like see a lot of people that are betting Diego heavy and things like that. Like it could be a fight where Diego takes this loss, you know. So honestly, I would probably, tell you guys not to do that, but I'm not sure who I'm gonna pick yet, honestly. I'm not gonna give a pick here. I'll eventually have a pick, but yeah, I think this is a real close fight here, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I like Ortega here. The one thing that's just thrown me off, man, is the fact that he's so adamant about saying he's moving up to 155 after this fight. Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, especially if he wins here. He's probably next in line for the title shot. This would be deserving of a title shot. So it's just a little confusing to me that he would go out there and say, after this fight, I'm going up to 155. And he's also taking this fight to donate the purse to charity, which is awesome. But maybe he's not fully prepared. We'll have to see him on the scales and stuff. But all those other factors aside, I mean, I would take Ortega to win. I think he's a better fighter. Especially in this scenario. How does Diego Lopez win? He's gonna knock him out. He's gonna submit Brian Ortega. I mean, I'd be pretty shocked at either of those things to happen. And in a decision, I think Ortega gets the better of him. So I like Ortega here, but there's definitely a couple question marks that might make me want to avoid this fight. A couple sketchy things. Ortega saying that and taking the fight, for other reasons. So we'll see what happens. But I think Ortega as a dog, I think he should be the favorite here. He just beat up Yair Rodriguez. I think Yair versus Diego is a toss-up fight, to be honest. So yeah, I like Brian here, but definitely a few things that are making me scratch my head.
Yeah, man. And now we got the main event: Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka. What do you think about this one here?
Yeah, it's real tough to see it going any other way than it did the first time. And we've talked about this fight, me and you together here a couple of times already. And I think you made some good points about, Pereira, was on a broken toe. This fight's short notice. I think that those things favor Yuri. I think, if the fight extends, it'll be Yuri all day. But I mean, Yuri takes so much damage, dude, in all his fights, and you just cannot take that type of damage against Poatan, man. You can't do it. It's impossible. He's too powerful, man. You just cannot. And that's Yuri's almost whole game plan is to take the damage, absorb the damage, and you just cannot do that against someone like Poatan, man.
Yeah, this fight's awesome though. I mean, shout out to both these guys for saving the card, man. I mean, both of them
Literally.
stepped up short notice. And I mean, man, honestly, I feel like Yuri has a chance in this one. Pereira, like I said, I just don't think he has the greatest circumstances. And it's like, man, we've seen Connor, like he pulled out the fight with the broken toe. It's like Pereira just had a broken toe. When was that fight at 300? Like 2 months ago?
April, yeah.
So, I guess he's stepping in there doing it still. But yeah, it's like I think Yuri did win the first round, the first fight that they had. I mean, he took him down. And I agree. I think if it goes longer, then Yuri's gonna have a chance. But like you said, his style is so reckless that I'm just not sure he's gonna give himself that opportunity. Um, but man, I mean, they already fought once, and I think this is the best chance for someone at 205, like to go in there and take the belt from Alex at this point. And I don't know if Ankalaev. A lot of people think Ankalaev would beat Alex easily, but I don't know about that. I think that'd be a good one. But yeah, this is gonna be a hell of a fight. I'm gonna lean towards Alex by knockout. I don't like the price on that at all. I mean, it's like not even plus money. But I guess it's like he's gotten so many knockouts in a row in these heavyweight or in these title fights in his wins that kind of his win path. But yeah, I'm honestly not mad at the over 1.5 rounds. I wish it was a better price though. Like I would want like I don't know, like maybe like plus 110. I was hoping for, but minus 170. I don't think it's a terrible price because I do think it will likely go over. Yeah, what do you think about the props? Do you have any opinions on that?
Yeah, I like the over, like you said. I mean, I think not 1.5, but if when the lines come out on 2.5 and maybe even 3.5, uh, I like those because they should be at good plus money, especially 2.5. I would like that a lot. I think this fight goes a little longer because I think I mean I don't know if I mean I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm so torn on it. It's so 50-50 to me. I think the circumstances favor Yuri so much. Um, and Yuri, he's been in there. He's felt the power. I think he's going to have to be aware, if there's any fight he looks to avoid taking damage, it has to be this one. I thought Yuri looked great in his last fight, just an absolute savage against Rakic. So I got to make my mind up come Friday on this fight, but it's just so hard to pick against Poatan, man.
Yeah, man, it's like you can't pick against Alex at this point. It seems like I picked Jamal Hill, which was like one of the worst picks I had this year. It's like looked horrible in hindsight. So yeah, man, Alex is the man. But yeah, bro, I had fun breaking down this card, talking about UFC Saudi Arabia. So we're gonna be back on Friday. We're gonna be doing the same thing, talking about the fight card. Pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, hopefully we'll get it done. I'm gonna be going to the weigh-in and all that, so we'll see
Nice.
like time frame how it goes. But yeah, man, I'm actually gonna be going to this event now. Like I was saying, last
Nice.
week I bought the tickets, so
That's awesome.
should be fun to go. Anyone that's going, hit me up. Maybe we can have a beer or something. But yeah, bro. Thanks for coming on, talking, and thanks everyone for watching, checking it out. We'll be back, like I said. So peace, guys. See y'all later.